My name is Margaret Sheehan. I'm Margaret Sheehan. I'm with Teachers Treasures. I'm just one of the contemporaries of all of you guys, but Joel and I and some of the gang have been trying to gather us to be able to chat about different topics, and we'll continue to do that. I think we've kind of already ordained what the topics would be off of some surveys that we've done with everybody. And we just want to make sure we're just getting together and having conversations, and then also having you guys meet other people that if you did have a question of like, how do you do this, feel free to reach out. I know that Outlook invitation is not particularly clean, and I'll try to get more efficient with that, or we'll try to build that out so we can communicate better. But I'm using Kids in Needs Basecamp, but also this hodgepodge of email addresses that I've built up with many centers that are not part of the Kids in Need network, but are part of the work that we do, and we share that love of the mission. So the gang that's here today represents different capacities within their centers, which they'll talk about. But we had a really great conversation earlier this week about, really our job is to figure out how to get more stuff to more kids. But by to do that work, we need to really engage more teachers. And so why don't we start talking about, let's start from the baseline of where are you with your numbers? Are you feeling up or down? And then maybe what we could talk about is some things that you think are contributing to those numbers. And maybe then next question will be, what are you kind of doing to counter that? So let's start with, we'll do Joel, Abby, Caitlin, Hannah. You guys can remember that order, how I see it. Just talk about where you are, maybe a little bit about your program and how you do disperse product, and then how are your numbers, okay?
All right, so Joel, I'm here in Nashville. Our numbers are pretty good for us this year. They're back to kind of our pre-pandemic levels, which we're happy about. We are an appointment-based only. We have a regular store and a satellite store. Our satellite store flopped this year. And the reasons are we had to move into the portable of an elementary school, and waiting for the teacher line or the pickup line to end just pushed it out of town. It's just not a great location, and there are a few reasons, but our main store has done really well. Excuse me, getting over a cold here. Sorry about that. And then we're at about 2,600 shops right now, which for us is kind of good. We're served one big district, so we have 160 schools. And we've worked really hard just to open it up to all educators in MNPS, Metro Nashville Public Schools, that deal with kids, to get more people shopping, and also allowing, we used to be real strict about like the limit's the limit. But now if that one person is that person in the school that runs a closet for that school, trying to really be generous and not make every teacher come in. If that school needs, like, we're going to just deal with the teacher that is coming in. And so we've really worked hard to lower those barriers and just meet the need where it's at.
Yep. Abby?
Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm Abby Marks, TRC Program Manager at the Education Partnership. So I make sure that our Teacher Resource Center is running full steam ahead for our program here. Our first session, we saw the highest numbers that we've ever seen in our existence. For our core shopping with our full partners, we saw about 2,400 teachers. But right after that, we do offer what's called Creative Corner, where we just offer up our incentives and our donated, so it's not the stuff we purchase. We saw 800 people, and I had to open up 200 additional slots, so 2,300, 800, that's 3,100 in the fall. We're expecting about 2,900 this spring with the same metrics of combining what does core shopping look like with incentive shopping. We are solely appointment based. That's 20 people, the top of every hour. Right now we're rolling with 2 days after school, as well as 100 appointments on Saturdays. And to go with what Joel says, meeting the people where they are, we do offer shopping via proxy. So if you let me know 3 business days ahead of time, I can get that set up in Salesforce, and I know who's coming in on behalf of who.
Caitlin?
Hi, I'm Caitlin Philpott. I'm Cranston Computers in Cincinnati. Let's see, I have it right here. Yeah, our numbers so far this year are good. They're a little bit higher than they were last year. We're at 7,092 shops year to date. Last year we were at about it was like 6,700 at this time. Let's see, we do not do appointments. We are purely walk-in and check-in. We do also register people on site if they need help with that. We also have online ordering for pickup. So while we don't allow people to shop like on behalf of someone else, we do have online orders that they can either run in and grab, or like one person from an entire school can grab 6 or 7 orders. We serve, let's see, it's a little over 260 preschool programs, and the number of K-12 schools I think is somewhere a bit north of that, maybe around 300. Yeah.
Hannah?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm from Teachers Treasures here in Indianapolis. So our numbers are probably about the highest they've ever been. We're at 8,357 teachers active with us. We have 2 brick and mortar locations. We have our main store, and then we have a second location. We're moving away from calling it a satellite location just because we found that the teacher's perception of that was that it was lesser, when it's really the same store, just in a different building, and kind of consolidated, but you get the same value. And then we also have our mobile outreach program, which is where we take pop-up shops into different schools. So that high number, I think I'm going to credit to that to a couple different things. This is the first year that we opened up to instructional assistants and paraprofessionals, and they account for 244 of those teachers. This is the first year we've ever done that. And we found it really successful because I know education is kind of in a tumultuous phase right now in Indianapolis, and I imagine it is all around the country with teacher shortages and union problems and all the things. And we recognize that IAs and pairs were really stepping into the role of full-time teachers. So, and then the other thing is with our mobile outreach program, with COVID, we weren't able to do it as robustly as before COVID. And so now we're starting to hit that really hard. But what we do when we do a mobile outreach program is we kind of enroll the whole school. So a lot of those numbers are coming from those. So those teachers, the majority of them have engaged with us, but some of them have only engaged with us through that one mobile outreach program. So some of the work that we have to do is, yeah, that number looks really, really great. But that might be someone who's only shopped with us one time at a mobile outreach program. How do we get them to come into our store regularly? We are appointment based, and that helps us out a lot. And we limit how many people can come to those appointments. We are looking ahead to doing online shopping in the fall, and we'll see where that takes us. So we'll touch more on what I said later.
Thanks. And I think Jane Thompson's on the call, and I remember being at a summit a handful of years ago, certainly pre-COVID with the Kids in Need group, and us talking about the concern that our numbers were flailing a little bit. But it's interesting. I am curious, I think overall about, a lot of us have pivoted, a lot of us have gone to different, concepts that also, to Hannah's point, that the environment for teaching right now is tough. And so, we're maybe a respite for them or a solution for them, knowing that this community is advocating for you and your well-being. So I don't know, Jane, if you want to comment on that, we could open this up to you to see if you are those numbers still flailing down in Orlando, or are things turning about for you? So I can't see any clarity there, but if Jane wants to either pop on the chat, we can ask her later on as well. So do you guys, the rest of the panel, do you attribute your numbers bumping up to, if Jane she might have stepped away, but do you guys attribute your growth to anything that you're doing? Is it a good word of mouth? Are you guys doing, better stuff in the store, more stuff in the stores? Are the hours more flexible? Have you, loosened up on any rules perhaps? But if you have, just go at your leisure here on what kind of things do you think you're doing that it's working to get teachers engaged?
So I can go ahead and speak to that, Margaret. What we did here in Pittsburgh is we did move back to the box model that we rolled out for COVID. Teachers really like the ease and having the flexibility. If they want a 5-minute shopping appointment, which is picking up a box and leaving, they have that option and they don't have to count their pencils anymore. Or if they want to pick up the box and really go treasure hunting, we've been able to put about 15 to 20 more pallets on our floor. So there's more of those incentives, more of those extras available to them when they do come and shop. And I think doing the bulk of the work on the front end for the teacher also just makes it easier, I just see so many happy faces coming in, not knowing that they have to take the time to count their supplies.
And who does that work for you, Abby? How often and
Yes.
how many boxes are you producing a month, for example?
Yeah, sure. So each week right now, we are at about 200 boxes. We have light duty representatives that come in that we outsource. We have volunteers. It's a great volunteer activity. They get a lot out of it because they know that they're packing the boxes or they're handing the boxes to the teachers while they're there volunteering. I pack boxes, my coordinator packs boxes. It's also a good step away from your desk activity when you're frustrated at Salesforce.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So that makes their lives easier. And again, what I heard you say earlier was that box is ready to go, and then off they can go in and pick out books or the other crazy stuff that we offer.
Yep.
It makes their life a lot easier. Okay.
Yep.
And then because you guys are appointment based, you know how many are coming this week. So that's how many
Yep.
boxes.
I know my maximum for every week, so I'm building for that maximum and then some. The boxes are also really easy to palletize. So we have 2 spots in our warehouse that are the rainy day box fund. If I need to pull those down because a purchase didn't come in on time, I know that I have that backup.
And do you do a high school box versus elementary box?
No, right now, the basic box is the basic box. What we moved into this year as part of our strategic plan is what we're calling the ESPs, or our enrichment support packages. We have 4 varieties of those. So in addition to a core box, each teacher is getting a grade level specific reusable bag. So for example, our pre-K to 2 bag had picture books, math blocks, it had triple lined writing paper, whereas our high school bag had MLA, APA format manuals, graph paper, and Sharpies. And then
And do you buy a lot of that stuff, Abby? Do you buy that stuff?
All of it was purchased.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. I think we should talk about this sometime this year, about the box model, the online models and stuff like that, because I'm curious how, and Karen Calder's on the call, and I think they do exclusively, or have done for a long time, really successfully, their online pickup at the store kind of box, which I think is interesting. Joel or Hannah, Caitlin?
Yeah, I'll jump in. One of our big things that we do is mass giveaways. We have a real small warehouse compared to some of you guys. We have roughly 100 pallet slots, and we share that with the rest of our nonprofit staffing. And so we're a team of right now 2.5, hopefully growing to 4 real quick, that run the actual store. But we have 17 other people that we share our building with, that do other programs inside our schools. But if I get 27 pallets, like I took one of Unilever products, and you never know until it shows up what it's going to be. As soon as it shows up, we will send out a mass email and basically tell teachers, pull up to our dock. We have the pallets out on our dock edge, one of each type, and we just have them sign in, and we're like, okay, this is what we got. We tell them in the email, usually between 2 and 6 items is about all we can handle for variety, but it's just like, okay, this is hand soap. How many cases do you want? And we'll be able to clear, I think our biggest day, we cleared over 40 pallets into the backs of cars. And for us,
it's not necessarily keeping the stuff to have an equitable distribution. It's like kind of a first come, first serve basis, and then they could share the wealth. They could share the wealth with their schools and so on.
It is. Generally it gets pretty equitable. We'll have about 80 to 90 schools send at least someone. And some people are like, oh, I will take 1 case of this and 1 case of this. But most of them are like, let's load it up till it can't be loaded anymore. And for us, it just gets out to the schools and it's getting.
Did you send us some photos of that? Is that something like it just loading them up? Kind of
I can
pictures and-
find some. I mean,
I think it's
usually
interesting.
there's not
Yeah.
a ton of them because usually we're just sweating and throwing pallets everywhere and just covered in dust for 3 hours.
Fair enough. So that's a great way to engage, move them. And I would assume that that's a pretty popular thing. Like, this is awesome, like a lot of stuff. So Caitlin, what are you guys doing in Cincinnati to keep them coming?
I mean, definitely a lot of little things. It feels like everybody in the building has, their own thing they're working on. But some of the things that I think have been helping us the most in the past year are partnerships that we've formed, like specifically with, like on a district level. So like our largest district, Cincinnati Public Schools, we've formed a partnership with them this year and gotten their support, behind their teachers shopping with us. And as in return for that, we actually have allowed the other 8 or 9 schools that are not normally eligible based on our criteria to also be eligible to shop. So like as a result of that, we were able to get everyone in. The other big partnership with the district that we have this year is with Mount Healthy Schools, which is a much smaller district. They have 4 buildings, and that's our cupboard program that we just rolled out this past fall. And already we can see, I had just pulled these numbers this morning, actually, their total shops last year for those 4 schools was 260. And now year to date, they're at 283 already. So an increase of, just 23 so far, but 100 from where they were at this point last year. So it's been very much just about getting the reminder in, in their heads, like, hey, don't forget you wanted to come here today. So those like district-wide partnerships are definitely helping to get, everybody on the same page that we're here.
Hey, we're going to do a special guest, Hannah, before we chat with you.
Okay.
Our friend Dan from Orlando, who hangs out with Jane Thompson. Dan, what's going on in Orlando? You guys have had all sorts of interesting phenomena affect your programs.
Yeah. Well, that's a real nice introduction. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks, Mike.
Am I right?
A special guest. Well, we're in the conference room, and I've got all the experts and the rest of the ops team here with me. But
Hi, Orlando. We're jealous of your weather right now. I can tell you
well,
that.
it's from what we understand, we don't get to go outside much here, but we think it's in the 80s. So,
That Jane,
they don't let us out much. We can, I can get it started on what we're doing down here. And like I said, I've got the rest of the experts with me, so they may want to add to whatever I say. They're the ones that are in it more than I am. But Orlando is, as of COVID, we're a appointments-based center. So to us, that's one good thing for sure that came out of COVID, because we used to just open our doors from 2:30 to 6, and whoever wanted to come, whatever teachers wanted to come could come, and we never had any idea who was coming or not. But the appointments, if anybody is not doing it, I think we might have been the last holdout. I would definitely suggest it. It gives you a heads up on what to expect, at least the next day. But we're doing our free store. We have a what we call a curbside, which is ordering online. And the teachers, as of this month, I think that's when we started. January. As of January, they can pick and choose the items they wanted, which is like in the I think we're 30-something different items that they can pick and choose from. So we pack those boxes, label them, and then put them in a holding area for distribution. And the teachers can basically send anybody they want to get it, as long as they know when they get here who it's for. I know I was talking to somebody in North Carolina about it a couple of days ago, and they said it's not unusual that they've seen an Uber driver come pick up a box for a teacher one time. So, okay. So literally anybody can get
whatever it takes.
It's not uncommon to see a pickup truck pull in and get the entire school's curbside when they do get here. So we also
Cool.
have our mobile unit that goes out once a week to the schools that are furthest away. And the way ours is set up, it's like the store. They walk around the mobile unit and they pick and choose what they need for their classrooms and students. Currently, we're at 11,501 shops as the end of January. Who's counting every shop though? But, and then, our goal was 11,517. So we're a little bit below goal there by about 16 shops. So, okay. And then
It's off the mark. And I bet, is Jane gonna punish you because you didn't make goal?
Yeah, right.
Is Jane in the room with you? Like,
No,
Well,
no.
okay.
I think
Well-
she's, yeah, well, seeing that we're 1,500 shops over last year, I think that kind of.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks Dan. We're gonna move on to Hannah, but we can keep Dan up there if we want for a minute. I think that's really interesting. Like all these, the variety of the things, these boxes, these options. I think all of that is obviously very attractive, and Jane is letting know her ops teams rock. I don't know from my perspective, and we're gonna get to Hannah next, but I think about all these box building and what's in our strategic plan to start this in October. I just get cringy on the labor, and Abby saying that she's got to fill boxes. It's like, dang. But you know, what are some other solutions to that? Again, that could be a whole nother conversation, a webinar we have. So Hannah, what do you think has been successful for your program as far as helping teachers come and feel more engaged?
Yeah, and I will say, I'm not worried about the labor for those boxes. We're gonna make that happen. So like I said before, you know, we opened it up to a new section of people. Yes, I'm laughing at what Karen said because I think that there's some potential there. So we opened up to instructional assistants and paraprofessionals. We also recognize that the majority of players in a school are playing a role with students. So I'd be curious to hear. We allow social workers in schools to shop with us, guidance counselors, although they're not called that anymore, you know, speech pathologists, pretty much anyone who's full-time in a school working with students is eligible to come shop with us. We've had a few resource officers we've signed up because they were actually playing kind of a social worker role within their schools. So we have some gray areas, and that's really, we see a lot of especially social workers, we see so many of them. We have really worked hard to create a welcoming culture in our building, and this might be a subject a little bit later on about rules and barriers and things, but I think our teachers know that we're a safe spot for them. They expect to see their teacher friends. They recognize a lot of our volunteers. A lot of our volunteers are retired educators. So they know that they're, you know, when they're checking out, there's a person there who gets them. Being able to do the mobile outreach programs, again, has just been this huge, hold on, Abby, I'll answer that question in 1 second. So the mobile outreach programs is such a great like marketing tool for us because it does get a lot of teachers who are like, I've never heard of you. I'm brand new to the district. I'm brand new to the city. Oh, you have pencils. That's great. I love pencils or whatever. We do a lot of work with at back to school time with brand new teachers. We have some great relationship. We serve about 15 districts in our county. It's about 315 schools. And then we have some other programs that we've deemed eligible that will come in as well. And so we're just doing a lot of work before they even get in the door. And that back to school time shopping and orientation, we'll go to professional development days and talk and bring goodie bags and mobile outreach program stuff. We also allow student teachers to shop with their teachers one time. And that I always like to joke that gives them a taste, that gets them hooked. So they come in and they do a full shop under their teacher's name. And then they're like ready to go next year. So that's less work for me to do because this person already knows what to expect when they get their classroom next year. Abby, what we do, we actually have a lot, not just social workers. I mean, we have music teachers, we have gym teachers, a lot of language learner teachers who float around to different schools. I always just tell them to pick a home, like in our system, pick a home school, whatever, whoever your favorite is, I don't care. We only allow them to shop once, but again, we're like, if you need to come and talk to us about extra pencils, we'll take the conversation. So we can't promise every teacher 30 of everything, but if you come to me, what was it the other day? I had a teacher who needed 60 compasses, protractor compass sets. We had that, we were able to make it work. So we do have some flexibility. So
I agree. I think
Right.
that's important. But I'm going to take us down less, well, I want to use the word rules, and particularly when you come to schools, we're all kind of used to that. And we had a healthy conversation about this when we prepped this call. And over these years, we've heard about different ways that people approach. I'm going to start with you, Abby. Then we'll go to Joel, Caitlin, and Hannah. But how do you guys position yourself with, I'm going to use the word rigidity, or, you know, are you guys ebbing and flowing and just like giving grace to teachers, or is it just easier to like, this is the rule, we're standing by it? So we talked a lot about missing appointments, no shows. I think that might be an interesting topic here. We certainly could talk about the shopping guests here. Do you let the teachers bring their kids or partners and whatnot in? So I guess this gets a little controversial, but whatever works for you, works for you. But let's start with Abby and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, sure. So in Pittsburgh, we have 4 policies that get sent out on the reminder email, the multiple reminders email. The first one is masks are recommended, no longer required. The second one is our guest policy. I have opened that up to guests with medical needs. Just let me know first, and as well as kids that can't wait in the car. However, I did kind of regret that one the other day when the forklift was on the floor, teacher was not watching their kid, and we almost had an incident, and I had to walk over to the teacher and I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but if he can't be in your cart and stay with you, I'm gonna have to ask you to reschedule. So safety is always in the back of my mind when I'm seeing those little kids come into the TRC. And it's definitely a barrier if they have to go pick their kid up at daycare and they can't come, or vice versa. So it's something we're navigating through. Guests also just take up a lot of space within our TRC. And then it's not safe for when we have to exit the TRC in a very fast fashion. A few of the other policies we have is the rescheduling. If you're 20 minutes or more late for your appointment, it's recommended that you reschedule, just because you're not going to have an optimal experience when I say there's 15 minutes left and you just arrived. I want everyone to make sure that they have the supplies, they have an enjoyable experience when they do visit the TRC. Does that mean I'm black and white, very rigid? No, there are exceptions within reason. Also, make sure that you don't take advantage of the rules. If someone's taking advantage of them, we're going to have a conversation.
All right. I think what's the proper way to say this? We have done in Nashville as much as we can to lower barriers, because since the moment that I came in 7 years ago, we have struggled to fill the amount of slots that we have. When I came in, they used to have to present ID at the front desk to get checked in. There are still people that try to present their ID 7 years later. If you signed up with our school email, I'm gonna go ahead and assume you were a school employee. And you didn't just wander outside of town here to our little warehouse to find it. So there's people that really have concerns about that, and maybe 1 or 2 people get through. Our always thought is if they're that desperate for school supplies, they're probably going to some kid somewhere. So the other thing that we did pretty quick, once we got it cleared with our auditors, was we got rid of checkout. They fill out their sheet and we trust, and now we're actually app based, where they scan their phone when they walk in and they get their assigned number that pegs to their registration, and they walk through, and when they're done, they submit it on their phone, and that is their shopping sheet. We know that it's not perfect, but we've noticed overall that we don't have teachers that are trying to cheat the system. It's free. it's usually like if we bag highlighters and we were counting 2 as 1, that kind of confusion happens quite a bit. And to kind of mitigate that over the years, we've really kind of lowered it to like, we'll put 1 bag or something on, like, to try to limit that type of confusion. And then the other, I guess, things that we have done is we do allow guests. So we don't really have any guest limitation policies at all. And we just, it used to be if you missed your shop, you were done for the semester. We really just this year especially gotten rid of all shopping limits. Like, you want to sign up for next week, great, because if you're the person that just keeps coming back from that school every single week, then obviously you're serving a ton of people in that school. Like, and obviously we get to know those people real well. And I mean, in every case, like, you know, they end up becoming good friends with us and we get them extra stuff because they're the ones that are dedicated to it. So I got worried on Tuesday during our chat. Maybe I should be a little more worried about some of the liability issues, but we are firmly, we just, wish we had more people shopping. So we remove every barrier that we can think of.
That's great. All right, Hannah, and then Caitlin.
So we are ogres and we don't like children. So we have a couple policies we're a little strict on. The one that we are the most strict on is no shopping companions of any age. That includes your husband, your mother, your brother, your friend you found on the street, but most particularly children. And for us, it is a liability issue. Margaret has a couple stories she can share offline about the why of that. But it is also a little bit of respect for teachers that they just came from a classroom and they may just want to be by themselves, or they may just want to be around other teachers. It just kind of helps that culture. We've had a lot of pushback on it, but at the end of the day, I think this is something we're rigid on. We understand it as a barrier. So maybe down the road, we find a way, like one day a month is a teacher kid day or something, but we only allow shopping companions for medical reasons. And we're not wildly strict about that, to be honest. Like, you don't have to show me a doctor's note. Like, I feel like if you're telling me you broke your arm, I would hope you're not lying about that so you can bring your boyfriend in. That's between you and your maker if you are. So that is something we are a little strict on. We were very strict about missed appointments and things, but we got to the point where, I mean, I was a teacher, my husband's a teacher, Margaret was a teacher. We hang out with teachers all day. You may have a kid who started a fight at the end of the day and you had to be with a parent. So we're not very strict about missed appointments. We try to be as understanding as we can. Again, if you show up late, I appreciate what Abby said about, you know, we will sometimes ask you to reschedule because we want you to have a good shopping experience. And if I'm yelling at you that you have 10 minutes left, you might not. So if a teacher comes in late, we measure based on how many carts we have. So if I have like all my carts left and you're 10 minutes late, or you're really early for your appointment, that was happening a lot on Wednesday for some reason. If I have a bunch of carts, I probably will let you go ahead and shop. If you're like 20 minutes late and you're only gonna have 10 minutes to shop, I will ask you, are you okay shopping in 10 minutes? If you're not, let me help you reschedule. Most of the time the teachers are like, I'm fine, I just need pencils and copy paper. And we try to meet teachers halfway where they are. The teacher I referenced, his name is Sean, who we gave the protractors and compasses for. He's one that he's done so much to get other teachers into the building. And I know that he also has to drive a lot, and he also is someone that I can call in a favor. So anytime I need like cute kid photos, I will bug him. And so that was something, just when he was like, I desperately need this extra thing, that was kind of no questions asked. We had it available. We were able to do it. And I was happy to get it to him. Yeah, I'm looking at a gift for teaching has a no guest policy. I think it also drives home the message that this is kind of a sticky issue. We're not a Target. And there are some times where I think that teachers appreciate that we're more like a private club, for lack of better words, and having the no guest policy makes it a little bit more special for them. And it also from a mission and a staff standpoint, kind of protects us a little bit. In that, you know, we have these policies because we're not a retail store. We're not going to operate like a retail store. So please be respectful of all of our policies because we're a
Yeah.
nonprofit.
Thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome.
Caitlin, what's happened over there in Cincinnati rule wise? Because I know your Amy, she's got rules. We know Amy.
Calling Amy out. I mean, we have, I would say probably what sounds like a lot more rules than some of what have been mentioned. We actually talked about this in the our programs team meeting yesterday, how it's, as far as like rigid versus not, it's more of the start out, you know, more strict, whether it's a new rule or just the beginning of the year, and you can always relax it. So like, for example, groups of people who are registering, I'm a one-woman team trying to enter them all, even with bulk uploads available. So like the first couple weeks, since we don't have appointments, it's like, hey, if your paperwork's not in, you know, 24 hours before today, like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to leave and come back. But then once that like initial rush is done, I'm happy to take, you know, the 5 minutes to register someone. And that's really how a lot of our rules are for the most part. Some of the ones that we like stick to 100% at this point are like teachers have to shop under their own name. In the past that was a thing, and now we don't allow it. And usually I can get that teacher or that paraprofessional registered under their own name and they can shop as well, because we do let them shop. Yeah, we do allow guests while shopping, although in our policies we recommend that they're conscientious of others, the space, and their general health, and, you know, not bringing sickness into the building. I'd say one of the other ones that I'm more strict on, but if I know a teacher, is they have to check in at least 30 minutes before the store closes, because like we do close the doors, like 6:30 is when we end. That's when I'm going home. I almost never make it out at 6:30, but if someone shows up like at 6, I have, you know, been like, hey, can you do this in 30 minutes? Like, we will make you leave. And I honestly haven't had to turn too many people away. It's largely those same people Hannah mentioned that are like, I really just need like pencils, paper, and this one other thing. And they're pretty good about that. We did have to, I would say, pull back on a couple things over the last months and weeks. Like, we used to let people hold large items for 2 weeks. They were just sitting around not getting picked up, so like we had to cut that back, which is a change from before when there was no policy. And I started last January, and there were just sticky notes that had been there since September saying this is mine. We also last spring had to institute a policy that teachers aren't allowed to add things to a shop that's already been completed after that day, because we had a lot of shoppers who would come in a different day with one of their coworkers who was shopping, just, you know, because it's very social. We get lots of groups of teachers coming in together, which is a nice part of not having appointments. But then they're like, oh, I like this thing that wasn't here the other day when I shopped. Can I add that to my shop? And in many cases, it's not a big deal, but we had a couple teachers who would just, that whole day that it wasn't a full shop, trying to get around their limit of 10 shops a year. And that, and special requests, asking us for stuff that's not on the floor during the day.
Yeah.
Very lax about it. Happy to go get anything we have, but sometimes I am the only person available to go get it, and I'll spend the whole store time running and finding items that I don't even know where they are. So we created a special request form that people can request ahead of time, and we can have it.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's spend our next 15 minutes, if we can, on the positive stuff. And you know, we have to have parameters. We're all small teams. We only have so much energy. To Caitlin's points, like, you know, what am I not doing by doing this? So Teacher Appreciation Month, I'm curious how you guys, is it a week for you? Is it a day for you? Or is it the full month of May? And I would love to have you guys talk about, do you guys get sponsorships to help with special events or activities that you do around May? And it's not just about May, you know, we're here every day, hopefully being special, but do you do some isolated things? And for you guys on the attendee side, please put in the chat room, like some of your best ideas that have worked. And because we really want to make sure people are sharing their best practices, because we all want to learn from each other. That's what we're doing here. So Joel, then Abby, then Hannah, then Caitlin, or whatever order you guys want to. And then Dan, our special guest, if you want to jump in a minute, we'll throw you in. All you guys, there you go.
Think you're on. And we're back live again? I can't hear.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dan, sorry. And then we'll go through the other 5.
Hey, just real quick, and then we can talk a little bit about Teacher Appreciation Week, but one of the things we do here that really seems to pay off for us, and I think somebody touched on it, is those relationships that you have with your districts and with your superintendent specifically, and your area superintendents. And it really helps a lot when they like you and love you in those positions, and they're kind of pushing the principals and teachers to get their teachers in here. So we send out letters to those folks and the principals at the beginning of the year, but we also have a kind of a mid-year report card that goes out to those positions that talks to, here's how many teachers you had that went into a gift for teaching, and here's how many shops they had, and here's the value of your shops. And those, like I said, those go out to the principals, area superintendents and superintendents. But it also goes into a little bit more and says, had they have shopped X% more, they could have brought this much back to your school. And it's surprising when those go out, what a boost in shops we get just from those relationships that we have here. So I guess if there's anything that you might want to take from that, it's building relationships from the top down, and that seems to help tremendously. Okay.
Thank you, Dan. And so what kind of things do you guys do during Teacher Appreciation? I'm not sure who else is in your room that might be able to jump in from Orlando.
I think some of you might know Tej, our free store manager here. So
Hi, Tej.
Nice to see
Hi.
you.
Nice to well, we can't see you, but nice to see you guys. Ish.
I can see you, Margaret. I can see you. We have a wheel, and teachers love to spin the wheel. We are able to get.
Okay, I don't want to be rude, but going back to the naughty bin, that would be an easy way to get some of that stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, that's gonna be on the wheel next time, Mark.
Not that kind of wheel. Not that kind of wheel, Margaret.
Okay.
It's a very
Colorful prize wheel.
it's not the kind of gigantic wheel you might see at a carnival. It's a wheel that can sit on a desktop, but it's like a dry erase wheel, and we get some cool prizes that we're able to put on there. And there's certainly different levels of what you might win through the wheel. But during Teacher Appreciation Week, every teacher that has an appointment that week gets to spin the wheel. And you might win a stuffed pencil pouch with some cool cross supplies, or you might win a giant furniture item, or you might win a limited edition NASA Space Camp jumpsuit. And that brings me to my next point. Knowing the teachers that are going to be your biggest cheerleaders, and not so much making sure that they always get the free stuff or the coolest stuff, but letting them in on these special things. And we have one in particular that we all know and love, and she's helped us out a lot. And she won one of these NASA jumpsuits and put it on right there in the middle of the store. She's so excited about it. She put it on over her clothes right in the middle of the store, walked around to every teacher she knew in the store, which seemed to be every teacher in the store, to show them the jumpsuit she won. And she goes, as far as I can tell, she goes to her school and goes to every classroom and says, did you make your appointment yet this month? If you can't get in there, did you make a curbside order? If you made a curbside order, I'll pick it up for you if you can't make it over there. And I'm thinking of one person who sort of stands out in that regard, but we have others of various levels of enthusiasm, and that they make a huge difference in just kind of building that excitement up for these kinds of things.
Thanks, Dan. We appreciate, or sorry, Tej. I don't know who else. Abby,
I'm
are you
basically
next?
an extension of Dan, so it's all right.
Indeed.
I think Joel got skipped. So Joel,
Okay, so we have not traditionally done a lot in May. Our big fundraiser is the end of April. But we do a back to school event for teachers at the AAA stadium in our city, where we do a pep rally to kick off the year during the first week of PD for teachers in Nashville. We've done it for 3 or 4 years, and we do a bag of specifically teacher supplies. So it's a stapler, grown-up scissors, all the things to break, Post-it note, Sharpies, chisel tip, dry erase, stuff specifically for them. And we do sponsor. We get about $100,000 in sponsorships to make that run.
And how many teachers do you serve at AAA that day?
We make 3,000 of those bags. The biggest, we've given away 1,200, the most we've given away at the pep rally, but we'll continue to give those bags away through the first few weeks.
Awesome.
during our meeting to talk about how we were going to prep for this, Margaret, I forgot to mention, so I did mention we don't distribute in May. Our center is actually on an inventory freeze in May because of our audit schedule. However, being on programs, I don't often remember what advancement is doing, and I totally forgot about our Teacher Appreciation Awards. They're called our TEPIs Awards, where we give away this giant trophy. It's called the Corliss Cup, and we have our teachers and their students and the general population nominate teachers. We have a whole nomination form, rubric, etc. And it's best new teacher, rookie teacher of the year, best administrator of the year, best paraprofessional of the year, et cetera, et cetera. So we're actually hosting a teacher appreciation awards ceremony at a local golf course. The golf course does provide the room for free. Advancement would know more about the sponsorships of it. I do believe there are some, I don't know the money attached to it. But I did want to mention that. So we are appreciating teachers in that way, even if we can't distribute. That's what we do over here in Pittsburgh.
That's lovely. Hannah or Caitlin next?
I can go ahead and go. Yeah. Like we do, I mean, throughout the year, we have just giveaways for whatever reason we can come up with. A lot of the times we have 2 of those tabletop prize wheels that get used a lot. During Teacher Appreciation Week specifically, we'll do more like daily giveaways. This past spring, we actually did a like a bring a friend coupon. So any teacher who brought someone who hadn't been into the store yet this year, they both got a coupon that they could double the limit on a certain number of items in the store. Back at the beginning of the school year, we have La Rosa is a local pizza chain. They give us like certificates for the teachers to pass out to their students, but the teachers love those because their students love them. We do early shopping for people who are registered early. So like we open the second week of August, but the first week of August, we opened up to people who had registered like prior to the July 31st, 30th, however many days are in July. We also, as they were mentioned, as Dan was mentioning, that how they have the teachers that like champion things. And I think it was maybe you guys in Indy that I was modeling this after. Now I can't remember, but we just started a pilot for like an ambassador program. And I, went through and selected some of those teachers from the last year who participate in a lot of our things like that. And one of them actually within a week, not only completed her first task of bringing a friend, but also completed the second task of posting flyers up at the school. And then like as a reward for doing those things, we have special incentive items. Like it's a big like multi-pack of markers. We'll do special giveaways just for that group of people to also incentivize them to participate, but really just giveaways for random reasons. Like some days they'll just come in and we'll be like, here, everyone who's checking in gets one of these things. And I think the teachers really like the surprise freebies when they show up that they didn't know they were going to be getting.
Yeah. Thanks, Caitlin. Hannah?
So we have a great partnership with American College of Education. They're wonderful to us. So we have a little bit of money we always set aside each year, and we purchase gift cards. And if you come and shop in May, we do a drawing every shopping shift for 3 teachers to get a gift card. And it's usually Amazon, Starbucks, and Target. And those teachers, I mean, when I give them a Starbucks gift card, like we tried to do local small businesses and it went over pretty well, but there's something about giving a teacher a Starbucks gift card that just makes them light up. So we do just like in the store, you can just get a fun gift card and they love that. And it makes their day a little easier and brighter. We'll also do things like we'll put together goodie bags, and maybe you're not a Starbucks drinker, but you can get a backpack full of books or something like that. Last year, we did a really cool event, and we're exploring doing more events like this where we worked with a local brewery. They had a beer called Hop for Teacher. And so that whole month for us, every time they sold Hop for Teacher, we were supposed to get money back. My word of caution is that some they got bought out and we have never seen the money from them. So I always take those kind of things with a grain of salt, but our teachers loved it. And we had, at the end of May, on the last day of school, we had a big trivia night at their brewery, and the teachers got to come in. We were like doing drawings. I wasn't there because I had COVID, which sucked, but I'm going to be there this year when we do it. But it was just an event, and it was a time for them to come together with their friends and with us and get to know us. And we're hoping to do more stuff like that. We have the liaison program, which are the ambassadors, Caitlin, and they will get a private shopping trip over the summer. And that's my way of not only saying thank you, but also they get to feel special and they get to feel more empowered to tell other teachers about us. I know we're wrapping up, so we do a lot of stuff, and we're really excited about this year because we're hopefully going to do some stuff with a winery. Had a meeting about that yesterday. Yeah. So
we like our
wrap
alcohol.
it up because we gotta.
Well, you guys can hear me, hopefully. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, there's a lot of good things in the chat, and I love the ideas of a teacher advisory council. I think we talked about it a handful of times as well, but that's something we could be sharing about what's coming out of that, get the pulse of the teacher. Are they talking about product, needs or something like that, or other engagement opportunities, getting their voice. Again, a very busy professional. It's just hard to capture them all the time, but I think it's a great idea. Your job is to steal ideas out of these webinars, whether it becomes the spin the wheel or the bring a friend coupon. I think the teacher advisory council is interesting. The box model is interesting. Certainly those liaison programs, but connecting with each other on, what idea you want to take away and learn more from. Just so you guys know, I've sent this out a little bit, but we're trying to do webinars. March looks like partnerships with community outreach strategy, best practices with working with partners and other nonprofit organizations, and volunteers, product money, what's a successful sequence, and stewarding those relationships. If any of you guys want to be on the panel or want to facilitate, I don't have to facilitate. Joel just has to help us with the back part of it. We're looking in May to do staff retention and recruitment and look at the labor market. I just came off a really good compensation webinar that was super interesting. This summer, talking about sustainability and best practices. Abby, Marks, you're going to probably be teed up on that. Grant sources and who's writing for you, best practices around a grant writer. Those topics are kind of getting teed up. And again, if you want to be on a panel or know somebody that could be on a panel of any of those topics, let me know. Today it's still February. Our first gala is next week, and then 2 weeks following that's our 5K, the Donut Dash. Like us all, we should all be liking each other's Facebook pages because you learn a lot about processes as well from those pages. But I want to thank the 20-some attendees, and certainly want to thank Joel, Abby, Caitlin, and Hannah for taking the time this week to prepare yourselves for this great conversation. And of course, our special guests down there in Orlando, Dan and Teach and that whole team. We appreciate you guys. We're doing great work every single day. We learn from each other and we do better with each other. So we'll be getting together in March at some point. And again, let me know if you want to be on the panel or want to facilitate. We'd love to have you. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, stay warm, stay good.